Huge decision out of the Supreme Court today when they finally had to decide whether the EPA had gone too far with their draconian measures to reduce mercury. The rules really were just too draconian and too expensive to justify. Now, in short, what happened? Well, here's what you're looking at. The EPA regulations to Americans, this number should be a B, by the way, $9.6 billion that they wanted the coal industry, the power plant industry to fork over to save, get this, $6 million in potentially lost incomes. Now, the EPA has most recently said, you know what, doesn't matter. Those numbers don't matter. It's all about the principle. But just in case, they added to this whole thing that this is some other numbers we need to look at. 11,000 premature deaths, 4,700 non-fatal heart attacks, 540,000 days of lost work to asthma. Now that's worth $90 billion. They didn't get to argue this in front of the Supreme Court. This was sort of the public relations pitch. Listen, here's the bottom line. There's been so much damage already done to the coal industry that the administration, even though they lost today, still took a victory lap. And you know what? They probably should, because today's decision probably just a drop in the bucket. But could there be a silver lining? Could there be relief, not just for coal, but to American industry beyond this? We brought in an expert to help us discuss it. All right, guys. Well, 5-4, finally into the way that I think every decision, maybe lethal injections didn't go the way people thought, but everything went the way they thought. Coal stocks rallied on the news, but let's face it. When you have a stock that's up 6 cents or 4 cents, and that's a 10% move, it tells you how badly they were beaten down. Joining us now, Tom Borelli, senior fellow with FreedomWorks. Tom, when I see coal, EPA, you're the first guy I think of. Big win, but doesn't mean anything.
Sadly, Charles, it means really nothing for the coal industry. Coal industry has already been devastated. The stocks are down 80, 90%. And this was just one regulation. But remember, we just had a Supreme Court decision, which means the regulation was issued in 2011.
Right.
So the CEOs, the utility CEOs, have already made their decision to close many of these plants. So it's really not going to have a really significant impact on the coal industry. I mean, it is on the coal industry. Utilities are just going to be going to natural gas and other ways to generate electricity.
But there, I mean, realistically, now listen, I didn't think we can go from 50 to 35% in short period of time when we did.
Right.
But most people know that their electricity prices have gone higher. Also, is the miracle of fracking, the godsend of fracking that made nat gas cheap enough. But what happens from here? Is there something that can be extrapolated from this, something that could to maybe give what remains of the coal industry, can they survive here, or is it just completely too late?
What I think there's going to be a series of bankruptcies, and then some will reconfigure and then come back.
If a new administration came in and said, you know what, this is nuts, great paying jobs, the cheapest source of energy, we cannot dominate the world without power, and this is how we get power.
Again, the CEOs, the utility CEOs, remember, the coal goes to the utilities. Utility guys are the ones who are making the decision for the future. When Obama declared his war on coal, and don't forget, we have new regulations are coming out. The greenhouse gas emissions are coming out for power plants next month or in August. A series of regulations, we've seen the damage. You know, the message really to investors is, this is really what shows you what the government can do to an industry. Yeah. This is the first time in America where, through the executive branch, an entire industry is being bankrupted. And we have to remember that. So we have a lot of financial minds around here who are great with numbers. Don't forget the politics. Because at the end of the day, this is a great example where politicians can kill an industry.
Well, what do you make of the ruling?
When you talk about the regulations coming out later this summer, there's also climate change regulations coming out. This ruling will have an effect on those, because this ruling says that you, EPA, have to take cost into account. Now, how you do that, you know, the stuff that they spouted after the decision that wasn't argued, that's the kind of stuff they'll put forward. And the justices did not say what the weighing process. But
there's got to be a cost, Scalia said, there's got to be a cost-benefit analysis, and certainly $6 million to justify $10 billion is way out of the question.
Shouldn't the administration have done that cost-benefit analysis before they did?
I think it's too arrogant to Tom's point.
EPA, they regulate first and cost after. I mean, that's typical.
They had the guts to tell the Supreme Court that cost was irrelevant. I mean, that's how this decision was made.
Right, the arrogance.
That's what it is.
So, but Jim, is there a chance, though, that this could actually, if I'm in a different industry, and I know it's not a favored industry, and perhaps we're the next target, does this give me some help, maybe put something of a moat around my business or my industry?
Well, it's better than it was yesterday. But while you have an administration that's committed towards this, philosophically committed this way, you're at risk because they'll keep trying between now and the end of their term.
And as Tom mentioned, this happened in, what, 2011?
2011.
So even though it came down,
CEOs.
These companies are done. They can't come back.
Well, the EPA issued that statement right
utilities-
afterwards, sort of like Dr. Evil or something
Right,
like that. It doesn't matter.
That's exactly right.
We've already won.
Well, if you look at the
another
stock
bad-
prices, you look at the stock prices, it's
All
true.
right. Tom Borelli, thanks a lot. Really appreciate it. Heather, you were fantastic
Thank
as
you very
usual.
much.
Thank you very much.